Hi, and welcome to the Believe in the Land YouTube page. My name is Andy Billman. Let's talk a little bit about the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's the offseason. NBA Finals are over there in the background, but it's always a little, this is usually the time of year. As soon as the NBA Finals, they draw the drapes, the regular season, postseason go goodbye. The offseason for the NBA goes quick. It is by far the fastest of the three sports. Football, it seems like it can linger forever. Baseball, it seems like it can linger forever. Basketball is the opposite. It goes very, very quickly. Season's over, free agency starts, NBA draft, away we go. I mean, it is that fast. So with that in mind, I thought we'd do a few minutes here, talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. There's been a lot of banter. There are two very obvious storylines that we'll lead off with. The biggest storyline this offseason is going to be, what are they going to do at wing? It's been clear. It's been obvious to me. It's obvious to many of you out there. They've got to figure out what they're going to do with the wing position. It doesn't seem like they have a wing, and because they don't have a wing, they're going to have to pick up a wing. They're going to have to maybe get creative to maybe trade for a wing. They cannot go into this season anymore with the Okoro, LeVert, cross your fingers, Chetty Osman, Lamar Stevens. I mean, that's just not going to work anymore. The Cavaliers are at a point they have to have a steady wing to come into the game and play. It was exposed in the Knicks series. It got exposed throughout the regular season. The Celtics exposed it a couple times. By the way, the Cavaliers did well against the Celtics, so what did that even matter? They won 3 out of 4 this year against Boston, but there were other games this year really stuck out. Definitely stuck out to me in the Utah game in Utah. Both games against the Kings, they lost both times. The wings, the tallness of the Kings really bothered the Cavs at the end of the games. They just didn't have a wing to match up. The Cavs are going to have to do that. No matter where we start in beginning and end with this whole thing, who is going to be playing wing is the biggest question. It is. They have to figure something out. They need to bring someone in. There's no question about this. Who they're going to bring in free agency. We'll get a list in the next week or so, and we'll go through it. We'll start analyzing it, but that's the biggest thing. The number 2 thing is Caris LeVert. I have been a Caris LeVert supporter. I have been bashed very frequently on the Instagram show at Official Cleveland Sports for my beliefs on this, but I really think Caris LeVert, even if the Cavs couldn't bring him back or whatever, I would think that's a big loss. I think Caris LeVert's actually a nice fit on this team. He's a great 6th, 7th man off the bench. He does a nice job. He actually plays pretty good defense. He actually does he actually gels with this team pretty well. And the thing I liked about LeVert, they had a 2-game set in Miami, and I thought he took a really big jump in his game there, and he really closed the season out well. The one player in the playoffs who I thought played to his level was Caris LeVert. Caris LeVert really did have a great playoff run. No one else played well in the playoffs for the Cavs, which is why they lost in 5 games. But LeVert did what I thought he was going to do. I actually thought at moments he actually excelled in certain moments, and he actually looked the part. I mean, he actually looked competent and knew what he was doing on the floor. He was the one player I thought that really shined in a playoffs that was just wretched. There are fans out there who get on him. I'm not sure why. If you watch 82 games like I did, all Caris LeVert does is make shots in certain situations. He can't make everything, but that's why he's not a starter. He also does a nice job defensively, and he makes players around him better. If you look at his analytics, Caris LeVert really stands out. The Cavs are in a position. Brian Windhorst said this earlier this late spring, and I think he's right. So I don't want to claim something here that's not someone else's thought, because it really is his thought, and he's right. There really is no other option for the Cavs. They're going to need to bring him back. They really don't have any other options because of how it works with the salary cap, because of there's really no other type of leverage situation. It is going to be Caris LeVert. I mean, he's going to be coming back. I think this is a matter of, because they really don't have the assets or the ability to get a better player than him, and they really can't afford to live without him. So Caris LeVert's coming back. Again, I would not get too down on him when it comes to, his certain things on the floor. You have Mitchell, you have Garland. Mobley's starting to become more of an offensive presence at times. So, he's not going to go off. But again, there are situations. There are moments where Karis LeVert can do things and actually does do a nice job on the offensive floor, like he did in Boston, winning that game single-handedly, scoring 40+. So he has moments like that too. Again, he's an average defender. His offensive game is pretty good, distributing the ball. He could be shooting the ball better. But again, the Cavs don't necessarily need that. But he is a wing off the bench. Or maybe more importantly, more like a combo guard. He's not really a wing. He's a combo guard. But they're putting him at wing. And he's a guy off the bench. And that's what he's going to do. They need to bring him back. They do. If you think otherwise, there's no other option to replace him of how the salary cap is structured. So you're really losing a lot there. Even if you're not a big believer in LeVert, you need to see through that and need to know you have to bring him back because he's really what you have and what you got to do with it. Okay, now that said, the other things to look at and the other things to really be aware of this offseason, make sure to watch Jarrett Allen and follow that storyline. He's not going to be traded more than likely. 95% of me says there's no way he can be traded. Now, there's 5% of me who says you should look into it, and I think the Cavs should. The reason being is I don't know if Allen can do much more than what I've seen here in his tenure. I know people think there's a lot of overreaction to Allen's performance in the playoffs, but if you watch down the stretch, especially in the month of March, there are multiple games where he just didn't play well against better competition. And specifically against a team like the Celtics, he just didn't play well. So I think Allen really struggled. His numbers are down. His rebounding is down, a rebound in a game. And really, I thought defensively in the second half of the season, you didn't feel that twin tower presence like you did for the first season and a half with Mobley and Allen in the paint. He was great in the first half defensively. I don't think he was as strong. And again, the numbers will tell you that and the analytics will tell you that. Allen, to me, I don't know what they're going to do with him. And I mean, I thought it was always a given. You have to start the core four. Going this offseason, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Figuring out what they're going to do with Jarrett Allen's big, and how he comes to camp is big. It's a big offseason for Jarrett Allen. It's obviously another big one, too, for Mobley to see if he can keep growing. And I know there's a lot of chatter about Garland and Mitchell. I thought those two really worked it out well. Again, really in that time period, in January on, I thought both really played well. I don't really have much debate. People are being way too hard on Mitchell. I know Mitchell didn't play well in the playoffs, and we're not saying he did. Again, the only player who played well was LeVert. That said, you don't get here without Mitchell. Mitchell's a star. He is an all-pro NBA player. You got to bring him back. And by the way, he's the reason why we made the playoffs, okay? He's the reason why we got home court advantage. He's that special. He's that good. He is the leader of this club. Garland, I thought, really played well down the stretch. He has moments where he struggles here and there. I think he'll be much better with Mitchell this year. I'm not worried about Mitchell and Garland, though. To me, the bigger story is Mobley's growth, which we'll get into more in the offseason. Will he be able to score more? Can he do more with the ball outside of the elbow? Or are they going to focus him on the elbow? When Mobley is in the range of the elbow area, Mobley's very lethal. He's very good from the elbow end. Anything outside the elbow, he struggles, and he had a really hard time making three-pointers this year. He's going to have to do a drastic improvement there. And Allen, as I just mentioned, can we get back the Allen that really, really gelled with Mobley, played great defense, made the paint a place you didn't want to go into the hole? Or is what we saw in March maybe what's the new standard here? And what's alarming about Allen is Allen had a hard time rebounding. He did not do a good job with the boards, not just in the playoffs, but the month of March and April. He really, really struggles. Rebound numbers were way down. It's not just a playoff thing. Those are the things to think about for the Cavs. Keep checking here on Believe in the Land on YouTube. Go to believeintheland.com. Also, as always, go to the Instagram page at Official Cleveland Sports, part of the Believe Land Media Company. More videos to come this week on the YouTube page. Until then, have a good one.